Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm at Apex 2025. I'm on the Creative Electron booth and I'm joined by Patrick Stimpert from Matric Group. Thanks for joining me. Pleasure to chat to you as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You're a bit of a go-to guy for me in terms of operational excellence. When you look at what you've been doing between when we last met and now, how have things moved on? How have you kind of shifted things? I know you don't like to stand still, you like to move forward. It's all about that lean Kaizen process.
Yeah, we had a phenomenal year last year, and to build on that, we put in an addition, so increased the footprint by 30%.
Wow.
And so, like I've always said, hey, if you're a lean manufacturer and you're not willing to reset your plant, then the people will never buy into it. So we're resetting the whole thing, getting it right, making sure it's a full pull concept, make sure people have enough room to breathe and do the right things.
Yeah.
And make sure we're set up with the right parts and the right time and all the rest of it. So I'm pretty excited about that. What I'm really excited about is this time around, there's been that buy-in culture to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not having to do it all.
Okay.
And I love that part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes all the difference. Last time I came up, it felt like you'd really got the SMT lines humming. You'd got the layout there, right? But because of the way the building had developed, maybe stores and maybe some other areas weren't where you want them. Are you bringing it all into a single flow?
Yeah, this setup this time with the addition, and it's a pretty long gated building. I mean, we converted the school building into a manufacturing place, so it's pretty long gated, but I think we have a really good horseshoe design to get it come in and come out the same doors.
Yeah.
Use those same people over twice in those processes, so I'm pretty excited about all of that.
Yeah, and you're a school, but you've also set up your own school to educate future engineers, future operators, because it's so hard to get talent. Tell me a bit about the strategy there.
Well, so it's twofold. That professional level, we will pay for any school that they want to go to that supports our business.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of our professional engineers in that department that we have paid for their education.
Okay.
You get an A, we're going to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
You get a B, we're going to talk a little bit about how much we're going to pay for it. We're going to C, you might want to try a little harder for us, right? But on the other hand, the young kids coming through, I think, have given up on college. I don't think they went the loan. I don't think they want that 4-year delay in moving on with their lives and understanding how important it is to own the car and find a way to get a house and do all those things and not carry that huge debt.
Yeah, that student debt's a bind. Biden was going to get rid of it, and then he wasn't, and it's just.
Well, I would have been okay if they paid back my $500,000 for my 2 girls, right? But I'm pretty sure that wasn't going to happen.
No.
So, but I'm pretty excited about the younger generation that just wants to learn, and coming out of college, we have to teach them everything anyway.
Yeah.
So it's might as well just create our own school, our own programming, our own career development ladders to get people up and moving in the right direction. And let them get to how high they want to get in the organization or what they all want to do.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's great because people will shine. People will pop out of that group that are future leaders in the organization. People will pop out that are fiercely inventive and fiercely creative solution providers on an engineering basis. It's kind of exciting to see people going through those eureka moments when they're in an EMS facility.
Yeah, it's not for people that don't want to be on their feet and move, and that tomorrow's going to change, and you might as well be ready for it. And if you're going to complain about it, it'll just kind of wash over you like a tidal wave, and then you'll be discouraged. Yeah. So you've got to be willing to, hey, tomorrow's a new day, it's a new challenge. And one thing I've always been really proud of is Rick and Brad and those guys that own the company. They come in, tomorrow's it's another day. Okay, today was tough, but there's another day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's essential. And you talk about change. We're in a position of turmoil where we've never seen so much change. We don't know what's happening with tariffs. We don't know what's happening with geopolitics. We don't know what's happening with the economy. So the fact that you're growing and you're doing well as a business bodes well. Do you think the tariffs are going to create additional opportunities for companies that manufacture in the USA?
Well, so now you hit on something, because that was what I came out here to do, is to see what people were going to do and what they're not going to do.
And they don't know.
And I'm walking away with this advice to everybody. Doing nothing is worse than doing something.
Yeah.
Because I believe the people that are going to do nothing and think that, this current administration, they have no political headwind. Nothing's in front of them. So it's not like this is not going to stop. And so
they'll do what they need to do.
If you don't have your business and it's not profitable 2 years from now, you did that to yourself.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the reoccurring thing I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
And a lot of the vendors are like, I don't know about the steel, aluminum, and all that other stuff. And I'm going, well, start a war room, start talking, figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, have a plan.
Yeah, have a plan, and then deal with that plan and execute and move forward.
Yeah, and if something changes, adapt that plan, but have a plan for God's sake.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So I think when you look at what you're doing in terms of operational excellence, one of the things I love about you is you're innovative. I think talent is another part of it, but I think a third part of it that we've discussed before that you really understand is the value of strategic partnerships, the value of selecting some of those key vendors and actually really getting inside their heads in terms of what they're developing. Tell me a bit about how you look at that process.
Well, yeah, we don't go into any vendor buy unless it's a partnership. And what I mean by a partnership, I can call you on a Friday night and things are tough. I need an answer and I want to know who or somebody's going to be there to help us out. Or do I need to go hook up a special standalone network to let you dial in and do whatever you need to do to make this work? Probably shouldn't have said dial in at my age. That kind of says it's a bad thing. But, that's part of that whole relationship. And I know we would not be where we're at and have the success we've had the last couple of years with growth and maintaining our customer base and growing our customer bases and going down different channels of business without those partners willing to step up. Because I think, just some of our key ones like Panasonic, they have drawings, I think, still in their building that I drew and I said, this is the line we're going to design and this is what I need out of it and this is the tack time. You got 2 weeks to figure it out. Because I owe my customer an answer and I need to get some pricing. And that core group of people have done just a phenomenal job of, even though, like I said, I've said this before, they think I'm crazy, but I'm okay with that.
And they show up.
And they show up and they get it done. And we've had nothing but success with those partnerships.
And last time I was with you, we were talking about how you were synthesizing data from all the Koyoung machines and how you got that laid out and how you reduced the number of operators, how you got rid of chairs on the factory floor. I remember you saying no chairs on the SMT line. You're adding some more Koyoung in the THT area. That'll be another source of data. That'll give you another thing to synthesize to get back to root cause. That's a pretty exciting addition.
Yeah, I think that was the next step in our optics journey. Was to really take care of top side, bottom side inspections coming off of the wave flow. And we have a really good partnership with Urs and those guys that I think they make one of the best phenomenal machines that you need to really run fast and be correct in what you're doing. But now we have to kind of make sure everything coming off those lines that we're looking for bridging and we're looking that we did get all the solder joints correct and that all the parts are there and we didn't knock any SMT parts off or anything like that. So we're pretty excited about how that's going to look in the future and how that flows downstream. Now we're still going to do clip and check. That's not going away because we value the way our boards look and when they leave our organization and that somebody looked at those and we didn't just produce a bunch of things and something's wrong. And so okay, maybe it is IPC spec, or 610, right?
But that's not the be all.
That's not what we do as an organization. I think, and our customers take pride in knowing that we personally look at things and we make sure that's going out the door correctly.
I think it's really interesting. I was talking to someone, I think yesterday, about the amount of synthesized data they're getting from inspection. They're not just using all the optical inspection, they're also using X-ray inspection data. And they were asking the question, with all this data, can I do maybe a smaller final test, a narrower final test on all the boards that came out good on those, and maybe do a more full final test on those that have maybe been through rework or something. And it's interesting that maybe it can create some operational efficiency at the final test area because you are doing such good inspection.
You're right on certain classes, but I mean the aerospace, medical, all that.
That's not going to happen.
It'll never happen.
Because there's a test and the sooner you get at the end anyway.
The sooner you get your hands around inline ICT testing and all the rest of it, the better that is anyway for your business, the risk, the reliability, all those things that are important to running a profitable business. Because we do some life safety devices, and of course we're going to hand touch those, and yes, we're going to test and we're going to make sure we're producing the right COCs and all the rest of that. But once you get into class 2, or if you kind of dabble in the commercial to light industrial, now there's some room there to talk about what that really looks like, and that you're not having a danger downstream in that process.
So it makes sense, doesn't it? Last question, and I think it's an inevitable question that would be asked at Apex, because the 2 letters are everywhere: AI in manufacturing. It's moving really fast in the consumer side of AI with ChatGPT, Claude, all those things, and they're just getting better and better. We're at the very start of that same journey, perhaps, with manufacturing. When you came here, were you curious about what it could do? Have you seen any good answers? Have you seen any AI solutions that have real KPIs, real return on investment?
I think in our industry, unless our industry has some very old school things that I don't think are going to change. I don't know if AIs. I would love AI or somebody to take AI and dabble into purchasing. Because that is by far in this, and you see thousands of people here, and I guarantee everyone has the same question I have. Why are we still buying 1 of 1 and 1 of 2 and 2 of 2? And why can't I set up something to just go fast, quick with all of the arrows, the digis, all those guys? I just want to know who's got it cheapest. I want to go, and I want to make sure it's the right manufacturer that I want to ID. And I want to make sure that you did your due diligence, that it's not, it's a bad part, or it's a bad code date, or whatever it is. I think if somebody takes AI and goes with that, I'll help join in. I will put money in that, just because I know everybody in this room has a room full of buyers that do the same thing and dig ditches day after day after day. And I think you want to start there.
And that's data driven. That's a lot of data work.
Oh yeah, I mean right now that was our number 1 focus the last couple of years. Is we now have a waterfall report that we go out every day and go look for what's in stock, what's not in stock, if it's the right manufacturer, if it's the right code date, right, to make sure somebody hasn't put some counterfeit stuff in there. And we're pretty proud that we got to that point, but that was a lot of work with basically very limited help from those vendors that sell a lot of stuff. And then if you throw the brokers in there who all got yachts after the last couple of years,
they did.
Would love to get some time on some of those, right?
Well, they've got yachts, and a lot of them have got motor yachts, but they can't afford the fuel this year.
That's true.
It's a tough time.
Yeah,
I think it's a fascinating area, and I think it's an area where we will see development, and it would be a real sweet spot for AI. And then, maybe further down the line, we can look at all the great stuff you're doing and think about how we can, commercialize that in an AI environment. Patrick, it's always a joy to chat. You are my go-to guy for new ideas in operational excellence. Thanks for talking to me.